Fedora Productions.
Hello everyone, my name is Colin and party games. They're the games that either have you laughing with friends, wanting to strangle said friends, or both. You see, usually party games are really not that good, and if they are good, they're either based on an existing board game or game show IP, they're Mario Party, as in one of the good ones, or they're weird. Which means a lot of party games, like I said before, like some of them are already based on existing franchises and then put into party games. Some not even video games, sometimes they're just like recognizable or popular. And a lot of these can include such cash grabs as Pac-Man Fever, Rugrats Scavenger Hunt, Eminem's Beach Party, Crash Bash, and our subject of today, Sonic Shuffle for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, Sonic Shuffle was released on the Dreamcast in the holiday season of 2000, and exactly 6 years later, these two turds came out, so neat. But, yeah, this right here was Sonic's second game for the said console, and, a lot of it is based on Sonic Adventure 1, which makes sense, SC2 was still in development at the time, but, I do find it interesting that unlike the two adventure games, this stayed on the Dreamcast and never left, because after the Dreamcast got discontinued, the two adventure games would be ported to the GameCube, but then so on and so on. Meanwhile, this thing stayed, and yeah, it's just been abandoned on the Dreamcast forever, and it seems like it won't get any sort of re-release anytime soon. Now for me, I haven't really heard anything like good about this game at all, but I'm curious how much I'm going to actually enjoy it, since I like Sonic Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, I like a few things about it, so hey, why not? Hello?
Are you playing Sonic Shuffle?
Yes?
That doesn't matter. What does matter is that you're playing Sonic Shuffle alone, not multiplayer.
Why does that matter?
Because it's a party game, duh.
Okay then, I guess this will be more interesting. As expected of games from this era, it starts up with a little opening cutscene, and it doesn't really explain anything about the game. It's just our four characters running, and then there's cards, and then they get warped into some kind of fever dream with some goddess, a Shin Megami Tensei looking character, and bootleg knights.
Would it even be bootleg if it was made by the same dev team?
I mean, maybe.
I really like the art style this cutscene opens up with.
Yeah, it's a short summary of the conflict that starts off this game's story, but really just leaves you with more questions than it does answers. The only way you can actually know what the story is even about is by reading the manual or playing story mode, but that's one player only.
You can just play for the story mode and find out that way.
Well, alright. Let's experience the story mode, and we'll sum up our thoughts.
6.5 hours later.
Where do you even begin with the plot?
Well, I guess to start off, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy somehow find themselves in this place called Imaginary World, where they meet the fairy Lumina. She basically explains that Imaginary World is the place where everyone goes when they dream of the Sonic universe, and then they have to get a bunch of stones to bring back the goddess of Imaginary World because some villain called Void destroyed it. At least that's the basic gist, but the stones were part of this bigger stone that powers Imaginary World called the Perfect Precious Stone. Void destroyed it, and our group of 4 heroes and Lumina have to stop him, although it really just boils down to them nabbing all the precious stones on each board, but we'll talk about that later. And eventually the character you're playing as, with Lumina, confronts Void, which, by the way, you have to play as each character to know a different thing about Void, but it's pretty much that he's a literal Void in everyone's dreams, but our heroes fight him, the Perfect Precious Stone is returned back to normal, and we'll never experience the story mode ever again, nor did I really finish it because It crashed.
And that's just the story simplified?
Yeah, that was a lot. So, let's actually get into the game. Okay, so comparing it to Mario Party, instead of using a dice block, you use cards with numbers on them, so automatically you know how many turns you can take with each card, except two, one being random and another one you don't want to get, which is an Eggman card. And you know what's great? The computers already know what your cards are, and you don't know theirs. And you can actually play one of their cards, and they can do the same for you.
Yeah, and going back to how it's similar to Mario Party, you have all sorts of equivalents to everything here. The blue and red spaces, minigames, the pieces of the precious stone just act as the game's stars.
One thing different from Mario Party is that you have these battle spaces where you fight these enemies that look like they were supposed to be Pokemon but scrapped because they sucked. What you pretty much do is just land on a card that's higher number than theirs, and you get an item. Reminds me of Yo Noid on the NES, strangely enough. This is also how you gain pieces of the precious stone. Although you can also get items from shop spots, so what's the point of these exactly? Also, I know other Eggman cards, but Eggman or Robotnik also does some different stuff compared to what Bowser did in the early Mario Party games, like dropping 16-ton weights on players that are the farthest from the piece of the precious stone.
Can we go back to the computer players for a second? Because, oh my god, they were so cheap. It's not even funny.
If you play this game, you play easy mode. Not because against the computers, it just makes it so the game is just as close to as reasonably challenging as possible. The way they play is borderline unfair. I already mentioned the cards thing, but the mini games are a whole other story. All of these mini games suck. All of them. First off, the computers can be pretty unbalanced in terms of just like being better than you, and also they're just not explained well at all. And if it consists of you running, which there's a lot of, you run slower than Sonic and Sonic Labyrinth.
You don't get to practice either. You're just thrown right in and you have to learn exactly what to do while you're playing. And if you play again, you then realize just how cheap these minigames are.
Now, if you're wondering why we're only showing footage of us playing in Emerald Coast, it's simply because we didn't feel like playing it any further. Also because, again, it crashed. It's just plain and simple. Even though this was developed by the same dev team as the Mario Party games, this game sucks. That's it. The end.
Well, there are some things that we liked about it. I personally like how they use the same models from the adventure games, but with a different art style, and I liked how they used the same cast of the adventure games, such as Sonic, Tails, Amy. But this time, Knuckles has a new voice actor, and it's actually Ryan Drummond.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting, but the voice direction still isn't good, but, I did think the soundtrack was pretty good. I mean, Emerald Coast is the only thing I can see myself going back to. It's quite catchy, although, still not a bad soundtrack.
True. There are stronger soundtracks in this series.
Yeah, we did say some nice things about it, but overall, all I have to say is just, this game for the Sega Dreamcast, not a good one. If you're looking for an actual good multiplayer Sonic game, play Adventure 2 Battles multiplayer, or even Sonic the Fighters, or maybe even the Sumo Digital Racing games. Those are pretty solid.
Or Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Secret Rings personally, and I don't really look forward to doing so.
We should play it.
We should do that.
Yes.
Yes, if you get the Wii U set up in the game. Do you even have Secret Rings still?
Yep, I do.
Oh, sick.
Secret Rings was actually my first Sonic game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You poor soul. Anyways, that was our video on this trash.
It's trash.
Yeah, it is trash. Go check out Amelia on her channels, because, what do you have, 15 or something?
No, I have 2. I have 2 YouTube
I can do maths. Links to those in the description. And I'll see all of you peoples in the next videos. So, Fuzzy Pickles.
Ciao.